Hello, and welcome back to the Burn Pancakes podcast, the podcast where we talk about motherhood in all of its messy, hilarious, and chaotic glory. I'm your host, Katie Fensky, and I remind moms that everyone burns their first pancake. Well, today's episode is for anyone raising boys or anyone who has ever walked into your house and immediately thought, what is that smell? Because if you're a boy mom, you already know that raising boys is like living in a constant state of mystery, noise, stickiness, and just mild confusion. I feel like I'm not even raising children at this point. I'm just supervising feral raccoons in sneakers. So that brings me perfectly to today's episode because I want to start with a story that has been haunting me this week. And it's the story of the mystery smell in our house. So let me break this down for you. Last Saturday, I had to drive Ronan to practice. And he said, "Hey, mom, do you know where my sweatshirt is?" And of course, yes, I have been looking at it every single day, lying on the bench in our hallway underneath the backpacks. So every day they go to school, take their backpacks with them, and boom, there's the sweatshirt. He last wore it a week ago to his baseball tournament and has not been put away since. And I'm being stubborn and I'm just waiting for him to do it. But, anyways, he says, "Hey, do you know where my sweatshirt is?" "Yes, here it is." Okay. He puts it on and we drive to practice. And instantly I'm like, what is that smell? Something smells horrible. And it's not like just like I'm getting a whiff of something. It's like, whoa, something stinks. And my first thought was fertilizer. It smells like fertilizer, just something like stinky, organic, gross. I knew it was not his cleats because his cleats have a very distinctive stink to them. So it wasn't that. So in my head, I'm like, it's got to be his sweatshirt because all of the clothes he's wearing right now came straight from his closet. They were cleaned. So it must be his sweatshirt. So before he got out of the car, I was like, why don't you leave your sweatshirt here? You're not going to need it. I think I need to wash that. And I had just assumed, okay, he probably put it down on the grass maybe last week at baseball during the tournament. Maybe it picked up some fertilizer scent or dirt and it's just been sitting there and smells. Okay, so we get home. I wash his sweatshirt thinking that's the source of the smell. The next day, Jake comes in from working out. He works out in the garage in the morning and he's like, "Oof, something stinks in our house." And he thought it was the trash. He smells the trash, not it. I'm like, what could it be? Like, I washed the sweatshirt. I was like, oh, maybe the sweatshirt had been sitting on the bench. And it's like what is it? Like a upholstered top. It's like a little bench that you can sit on. So the top is upholstered, so it's fabric. I'm like, okay, maybe the smell from the sweatshirt is still in there. So I get out our carpet cleaner. I'm spraying it, I'm scrubbing it, letting it air out while the boys are at school. I get home from school and I'm like, oh, I did get a whiff of it again in the car while I was taking the boys to school, but I'm like, huh, maybe it's like remnants from the other day. I don't know. They get home from school. I still smell it by the bench. And I'm like, I sprayed that thing with carpet cleaner. It should be not smelling this bad. So I'm like, Ronan, I bet your backpack was sitting on your sweatshirt. That's got to be what it was because that sweatshirt has been on the bench all week. Their backpacks are just thrown on there. So I'm like, take your backpack outside. There's got to be something disgusting in there. So he empties out his full backpack, goes through all of it. Yes, there's trash in there. Yes, there's a bunch of junk, but we could not figure out anything that smelled. So I'm like, maybe it's not you. Let me go smell the other backpacks. I go and smell Jet's backpack and I'm like, oh my God, there's something in your backpack. I don't have the nerve to look and find what it is. I'm like, it's going to be so moldy and rotten if it smells this bad. So I tell him, go outside, do the same thing, dump everything out of your backpack. Let's see what it is. And lo and behold, we found the mystery of this horrible smell was not one, but two chocolate milk cartons that were luckily still closed, but filled. And they had been in there so long that they were expanding. They were like puffed out on the verge of exploding. So thank God they didn't, because the smell of just the sealed cartons of milk were so bad that it made everything around it smell. I can't even imagine what it had been like if they had burst, which it looked like they were on the verge of doing. So we instantly bag those up, take it out to the trash. I throw his backpack in the wash, and it's being washed right now. But like, no joke, I felt like a detective trying to figure out where is this horrid smell coming from and how bad is it going to be. I had visions of like some science experiment mold being in his backpack. We did end up finding on top of the 2 milk cartons a moldy slice of pizza, and a bag of chips that were pretty much dust because they had been in there so long that they were crumbled and not chip form anymore. So mom fail. I guess I'm supposed to be going through their backpack every once in a while, which I did over Christmas break. So this has been like a little over a month. I should have checked the date on the milk carton because that would have been interesting to see at what point the milk was left in the backpack. Was not more than Christmas break because I did check their backpacks then. But anyways, that is the story of the mystery smell in my house. And I looked at my boys and I'm like, how did you not smell this? How did you not think like something smells like a dumpster around this area every day, or you're wearing your backpack on your back? And I could smell it just sitting next to someone. Like, how did you not see this? And then like, oh my gosh, do the teachers think my kids smell? I'm telling you, it was so bad, but these boys must be just immune to stink because they didn't seem to notice as they're cleaning out their backpack. They didn't really care or have an explanation. It was disgusting, but lo and behold, we found the source of the stinky smell. Now, honestly, this is why raising boys is just such a unique experience. It's not just parenting, you're like in survival mode. It's constant noise, constant chaos, constant messes, and constant mysteries. Like, where did this come from? I feel like I should have a badge. Like, I deserve some kind of medal for the things I've discovered in backpacks or pockets or under the couch cushions. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed to like lift those and actually see what's under there. Because that's another thing about boys. They will collect weird stuff, not cute little treasures, not pretty rocks that are like interesting shaped. Boys come home with the most random junk you've ever seen. Their pockets are always full with like sticks and rocks and screws and little plastic pieces and items that look like they might have found them just on a parking lot floor. And you're always thinking like, okay, what's this? But they're like really proud of it. They'll walk in and say like, Mom, look what I found. And then hand you something that looks like it fell off of a broken lawnmower and expect you to cherish it and keep it until you get home. And you're like, how much longer do I have to carry this? And you have to pretend to be excited because you don't want to crush their little hearts. So you're standing there going like, wow, this is cool, while you're quietly wondering if you can drop it somewhere or throw it away. All right. And let's also talk about the noise. Oh my goodness. Boys don't walk, they stomp. They don't run, they like crash into things. They slam doors, they jump off furniture, they body slam each other like it's full-time job. It's like their bodies are powered by chaos and adrenaline. And I swear I spend half of my day asking or saying to them, stop running, stop yelling, stop jumping off of that. And the thing is, they never do. They just keep doing what they're doing. So it's almost like a boy thing. They just have to be moving and they have to be physical and they have to be loud. The scariest part, though, isn't just the noise. It's also when it gets really quiet. Because if you have boys, you've already known that silence is never a peaceful thing. Silence means suspicious. Silence means something is happening that should not be happening. So if my house goes quiet, I don't actually relax. I start to panic. I immediately start walking around looking for what are my boys up to right now. And every time I find them, they're doing something that kind of like makes no sense, like climbing on something or creating some experiment mixture. Or the other day, they were actually actively working together on something, and I found out that they were making paper like body armor. They were very proud of themselves. And I was like, cool, you stayed busy. I love this. You're being creative. I love this. But they used an entire ream of paper, like a ream of paper that I use for printing, and no joke, close to 250 staples. I mean, there are staples up and down this thing. I should share a picture of this. It's very cool, but it was also like, wow, what are you doing here? So my house is pretty much in a constant state of too much noise or suspiciously quiet. And I definitely understand now why extended loud noise is a form of torture. So, like in the military or whatever, when they're torturing their victims, playing loud music for hours upon hours, or screaming or loud noise, that constant state of loud just gets to your inner core until your nerves just can't take it anymore. Now, let's talk about boy humor a little bit, because boys think bodily functions are like peak comedy. Like fart jokes are comedic gold. They'll laugh like it's the funniest thing ever, and they like purposely try to fart really loud, like on purpose, to the point that I'm like, you're like forcing it out. Like, can you not? And I'm like, I don't fart this much during the day, and I'm feeding you a normal diet. Like, how are you able to fart this much, or talk about farts, or talk about poop, or any of that? Now, boys also somehow are indestructible and dramatic at the same time. Like, they can fall off the couch and slam into the floor and bounce backwards and then say, I'm fine. Like, half the time I see my boys wrestling, and when they're having fun, they'll like get up right away and be fine. But then the minute their brother like does something and like touches their sleeve the wrong way, they lose their minds. Or my boys, like, if they're playing a card game that they're actively cheating in and lose, they'll start crying and throwing the cards, but yet they can wrestle or jump off the couch and get hurt and not a peep. They're fine. They're standing there like, how are you surviving these injuries that would take me out for a week, but you're emotionally destroyed by like your sock being on the wrong way? I don't get it. But here's the thing. As exhausting as boys can be and as chaotic as it is, it's also incredibly sweet. Boys will drive you absolutely insane one second, and then the next day they'll come up and hug you out of nowhere. I mean, Maverick is notorious for like just popping into the living room, sitting right next to me on the couch and cuddling me for like 5 seconds, and then popping right back up and walking away. I'm like, I was kind of enjoying this cuddle. Are you sure you don't want to stay a little longer? But like, they have their crazy side, but they also have their sweet side. Or they'll just wrap their arms around you and say, I love you, and like run off and go play something and totally catch you off guard. Suddenly you forget about all those gross smells, and you forget about the noise. You forget about the milk carton in their backpack, and you realize that they're just like sweet little boys in the end. You just feel grateful because they're wild, but they're also tender, and they're loud, but they can be loving, and they're so messy, but they have the biggest, sweetest hearts. And raising boys is never boring. It's chaos, but it's also just so fun and so joyful. It's exhausting, but you laugh a lot. And though there are days when you're like, I cannot take this sound anymore, there are also days where you're like, I cannot imagine my life without these boys and without this noise and without this energy and these little guys running around making fart jokes. Okay, I wanted to, on this episode, before we wrap up, share some fun stories. I asked some of you to write in some of your boy mom stories, and they're so good. I had a really hard time even narrowing down what I wanted to share. So there's a lot of them, but they don't disappoint, and they actually make you realize that being a boy mom can be really funny. So here's a bunch of stories of boy mom life. One mom wrote in and said, I did laundry and found a chicken nugget in my son's pocket, a full chicken nugget. I don't have any idea how long it had been there, but he insisted he was saving it for later. Another mom said, I walked into the bathroom and my son had filled the sink with toilet paper, toothpaste, and water. And when I asked what he was doing, he said he was making snow. This one made me laugh because it's just so relatable. A mom said, my son's backpack smelled horrible and I found an old banana in there. And it wasn't even a banana anymore. It was just black sludge in a bag. Like, at what point do backpacks become biohazards? Because I'm convinced they're toxic. One mom said, my son fell off the couch, hit his head on the coffee table, and didn't cry at all, but then cried for 10 minutes because his sandwich was cut the wrong way. This is boys in one sentence. Okay, this one I'm still recovering. A mom said, we were at the park and I looked away for 2 seconds. And when I looked back, my son had pulled his pants down and was peeing off the side of the play set. And honestly, I can't be shocked because I feel like every boy mom has seen something like this. It's just in their DNA. They make it easier to pee. I don't know. All right. This mom said, I asked my son why his hands were sticky. And he said, I don't know. But then I looked closer and he had syrup in his hair. Like, were you trying to style it? I don't even get it. One mom wrote in and said, my son told me he couldn't find his favorite Hot Wheel. And 2 days later, I found it in the freezer. Been there, like notorious. My boys will stick stuff in the freezer. I don't even know what they were thinking. This mom said, I cleaned out my son's bed and found an entire stash of snacks, granola bars, crackers, and a juice box. And he said he was preparing for an emergency. I don't know, kind of resourceful, a planner. I have, in fact, found candy wrappers all over my kid's bed. I don't know how they think we're not going to find them. I don't know. And this last one, I think every mom can relate to this. A mom said, my son was being suspiciously quiet, so I went looking for him. I found him sitting in the closet eating chocolate chips out of the bag with a spoon. Okay, maybe we've all been there too. Okay, so if you're listening and thinking, yep, that's my life, just know that you are not alone. You are living the same boy mom experience. We are all cleaning up mystery messes, sniffing backpacks like detectives, and wondering how one child can create so much chaos in one day. And honestly, I think the moral of this story is raising boys is exhausting, but it is never boring. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to share it with another mom who needs a laugh. And also, please message me for your funniest mom stories because I know you have them and I love reading them. I know you have found things in your pockets that should not exist there. I know you've discovered smells that can't be explained, and I would love to hear all of your stories. Maybe I'll share them on a future episode too. All right. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Until next time, may your coffee be strong and may you never find a milk carton in your backpack. Until next week's Malversation, I want to remind you that everyone burns their first pancake, so just keep flipping.